structure like growing up? What was life like back then, and did you experience any of your trauma, in childhood years?
So growing up was I had a lot of trauma. Um, my grandmother raised me, but before I even became a member in my grandmother's home, I was living with my mom when I was a baby, and she was physically abusing me. She was taking curler eyes, putting it up on my arm. She wasn't feeding me. She was locking me in the closet, and this is when I was just a newborn. So my aunt intended on taking me from her and got CPS involved. So my aunt took me in her care. Then I ended up going back with my dad when I was about one. So I lived with my dad from the age of 1 till 12. That from the age of 1 to 12, I was getting physically abused by his wife. She would take her nails and dig her nails in my skin. She would either choke me. I wasn't being fed. I wasn't allowed to sit at the table with the family. So what they would do were lock me in my bedroom and feed me like a cheese sandwich. The cheese not even melted on the sandwich. Just a cheese sandwich with the cheese just slapped on the sandwich, basically. And I would have to stay in my room from the time I get from school to the time it was time to go to bed. So I would tell my dad, but my father he was working 2 jobs at the time. He didn't care. He didn't care. As long as I had a roof over my head, he didn't care. So my brother was living with us. My oldest brother, he was living with us at the time, and he was getting physically abused too. But I was probably getting the most of it. So he ended up running away from home. I tried maybe a week later. I tried to run away, but I ended up getting caught. When I got caught, I got drugged back to the house, and I was only 12 then. I got drugged back to the house by my shirt, and that's when she proceeded to dig her nails in me, like digging her nails to the point where it was leaving marks on my arm. She would lock me back in the room, and I probably some days I didn't have a meal, some days I would get a meal. My grandmother knew what was going on, so she ended up calling CPS on them, but nothing happened. So I ended up getting away because a neighbor that lived next door to us called my grandmother and told them that I was being left in the house by myself for days and wasn't getting fed. So I ended up going back with I ended